I always thought that I was the Samaritan in that story. It's funny, isn't it? How even the best of men can be deceived by their true nature.
The hell does that mean?
It means that I'm not the Samaritan. That I'm like the priest or the Levite. That I am the ill intent.
I love the Daredevil series. I love basically every aspect of it. Matt Murdock, Foggy, the New York setting, the gritty character study of the show. But I tell you what I love the most about Daredevil, and it's this guy, Wilson Fisk. In my opinion, this is the best villain Marvel Studios has produced over all their films and TV shows. This guy, the Kingpin, is the best villain, and having a phenomenal villain projects your show into the god tier. So what makes Vincent D'Onofrio's iconic take on the Kingpin of crime so fantastic? Well, in this video I'm going to try and break down what makes a great villain and what the writers of Daredevil did so fantastically well with the character of Wilson Fisk. But before I continue, please may I ask, can you subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you are enjoying these videos, as it really helps the channel out. So on with the video. A huge part of what makes a villain is motivation, and the audience understanding these motives and actually sympathising with the villain in some way. All great villains need a motive for why they are the way they are. Without this, the villain is a pretty empty shell and one-dimensional. A common method Marvel has used in establishing their villains' motives is the antagonists of the film having a past encounter with our hero or someone close to them. This is then shown in a flashback, and now the villain resurfaces, swearing on revenge on our hero for their perceived past wrongdoings. This has happened with Whiplash, Malekith, Aldrich Killian and Hela. It's a boring and easy way to establish character motivation. However, Wilson Fisk's motivation is somewhat different. In Season 1, Episode 8, Shadows in the Glass, we are shown a young Wilson Fisk killing his abusive father with a hammer. This scene establishes a lot of his motive. Essentially, it is to be a better man than his father. Fisk's father was a small-time criminal who had delusions of city council grandeur. Wilson Fisk, recognising his father for a fool, chooses instead to work behind the scenes and also to actually improve the city, rather than just collect bribes. Wilson Fisk, like Matt Murdock, has a complex relationship with his father. Whereas Jack Murdock didn't want his son to follow in his footsteps as a fighter, Fisk's father wanted his son to be as tough as him. Fisk probably really believes his vision for the city is a good one, even though it displaces lots of poor people and he's making allies with criminal enterprises like the Russian gang and the Chinese drug smugglers. Fisk probably also believes that the profits he and his friends are making are a useful byproduct of his vision and not the driving force. Like Murdock, who cannot deny that part of him loves fighting, Fisk eventually realises that he is as much a violent bully as his father. Something the show does fantastically is showing Fisk throughout the show as being super neat, in what could be seen as trying to subdue his violent streak in a bid to distance himself from his father. Fisk's motivations work so well because we, the audience, understand them. In order for motivations to work, the audience must be able to sympathise with the character and understand their point of view. Without it, they are just a bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy. A great aspect of Fisk's origin is the mirroring it achieves with Daredevil. Whilst Daredevil's father was not abusive, he was a fighter and tried to ensure his son did not fall down the same route. However, Matt Murdock is a fighter. He accepts that, and he understands it's in his genes and embraces it, whilst Fisk's father wanted him to go down a similar route as he did, and Wilson Fisk has in some ways tried to shun his somewhat violent side, albeit to no success. A great villain is always the antithesis of the hero, and Fisk is exactly that. Again, Marvel tries to make their villains opposites of their heroes, but again the lazy way of that villain having basically the same powers, like Obadiah Stane, Yellow Jacket and Whiplash. A lazy way to create a villain. Instead, the characterization of Wilson Fisk looks deeper into his personality and traits. A great part about Fisk and Daredevil is they kind of want the same thing. They want the city clean of crime.
He loved his city and all the people in it. I always thought that I was the Samaritan in that story.
However, both have different ways they believe of achieving this. Daredevil was of the belief people should be brought to justice, and that organised crime is the worst of it all. That far too many people are burying their heads in the sand and allowing Wilson Fisk far too much power and influence. Wilson Fisk, like Daredevil, actually does want to clean the city up of crime. However, he wants crime to be organised, him being the leader. If anyone is not on his payroll, they are removed, and everyone works under Wilson Fisk's law. He wants the city to be better, and has a power complex in which he believes the only way to achieve this is under his watchful eye. It's great having these clash of ideals, as it sets up conflict between our protagonist and antagonist. Without it, there is nothing for the audience to be invested in. It's why Magneto and Xavier's rivalry, or even Black Panther Killmonger's, works so well, as you have two characters with similar aims, with vastly different ways of achieving them. When we are able to see the bad side of a hero and acknowledge the legitimacy of the villain's plan, you have created an engaging villain. The entire time I am engaged with Wilson Fisk's motives and aims because they directly conflict to Daredevil's, and Fisk is proving himself a worthy adversary, which brings me on to my main point. Fisk is intimidating. Now it sounds silly, but I think the main measure of a villain is, are they intimidating? And sure, you could just say physically Wilson Fisk is intimidating, but that doesn't make a truly great villain. To make a villain intimidating, truly intimidating, you need to make them somewhat undefeatable. Throughout the 3 series of Daredevil, we are shown Wilson Fisk is evidently an incredibly powerful man, but I think this aspect is truly shown in Season 2. In Season 2, Wilson Fisk only appears in 3 episodes, but I think these 3 episodes exemplifies Fisk's power and why we should be intimidated by him. Fisk swears revenge on Murdoch in a show of physical strength, and we are reminded physically Fisk beats Daredevil. We're also shown the guards are still under Fisk's payroll. So despite being locked away, Fisk still has a grasp of power, and despite all of Daredevil's best efforts to lock him away, in which he succeeded, it's only a matter of time before the Kingpin escapes from the cage he has been placed in. I feel the audience is intimidated by Fisk in 2 ways. First, we are physically scared of him. He's shown to have brute force and power, and it has us worried what he would do to our protagonist. However, the major intimidation Fisk possesses over Matt Murdock and the audience is the fact that despite seemingly losing his entire criminal empire, Fisk still has a firm hold on New York's police, and it is only a matter of time before he is released. Wilson Fisk's plan in Season 3 is so intricate, however, it makes sense throughout. Each part fits together like a puzzle, and each step makes sense and nothing is left to chance. It's a scary prospect of facing Fisk because we, the audience, know the lengths he will go to win, and how every part of his plan is thought through. Fisk seems unbeatable, and thanks to that, Fisk is an intimidating villain, as our hero struggles to see a way to defeat him, and we, the audience, cannot see any way of Daredevil defeating Fisk. We are grasped by every moment on the show as Daredevil tries to maneuver this unstoppable machine. This allows Matt Murdock to experience true character growth. Our villain is changing our hero. They are growing, learning, becoming stronger as they try to battle their equal. I think that is a massive part of a memorable villain. How did they change our hero? What effect did they leave on them? Most MCU villains leave with very little effect on our heroes. The protagonist defeats them and moves on. They haven't actually grown or changed due to the aspects of their own morality the villain has pointed out. Instead, it's usually an internal conflict within the character and loved ones around them that actually change our main character. A villain should leave an effect on our hero and give us a new aspect at looking at things. Instead of being a clear right and wrong, a villain should blur the lines. And this is why I think Wilson Fisk is the best Marvel villain to date, and I really hope he shows up in more Marvel Studios media. And as always, thank you for watching.